Welcome back to our word choice lessons. Today's video is going to focus on this. I'm going to ask you to start training yourself. So by the end of this video, you're going to have started that training to become what I call a word whisperer. Now, in our last video, we looked briefly at the idea of denotation and connotation. And I gave you the definitions and some hints and tips for how to remember them. Main thing is, denotation is your definition. Connotation is the hidden suggestions, the concealed suggestions, the ideas that are hidden from view. But how do you become a word whisperer? This is a slightly different approach, but I think you'll find it quite valuable. I want you, when you're doing word choice questions, to think of these two windows from now on. Any two windows. We're just using these two for an example. You have to look at each word through the window on the left first, and then the window on the right. You must look at each word twice. So, what's the story with the first window? The first window is the simple meaning. Now, I'm not talking about every single word in a close reading passage. Small words like the, and, but, to, all of those. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the descriptive words, the longer words, the more interesting words. So, any interesting word in a close reading passage, you pause and you look first through the left-hand window and look at what is the definition, the simple meaning. Okay, or the denotation if you want the original word. But let's just call it the simple meaning from now on. After you've reminded yourself of the simple meaning of the word, you then look through a different window. Okay, window number 2 on the right hand side. And this is, what is the word whispering? What is the word suggesting about what it's describing? Now again, I'm going to show you some examples, because it'll make much more sense if I show you some examples. To become a word whisperer, you must listen. Right? You must listen to the words, you must listen in everyday life. It can't just be in your English class. You must listen when your family are speaking to you. If you get a new jacket or a new pair of jeans or something like that and you ask someone, oh, what do you think? How do I look in it? Listen to the words they use. You'll know the meaning of the word. What are they suggesting? Are they trying to let you down gently, or are they agreeing with you and saying your choice was amazing? So every single word, apart from those tiny words I mentioned before, whispers extra words to us, extra meanings, extra suggestions, and that's what you're going to listen out for. Let's get on to the example. Okay. Let's start with a drink, a glass of water. Okay. Now the verb you would use in most cases, a factual verb. What you do with water, you simply drink it. But I would suggest that that's a bit like the tired dog. Okay. It's very factual. It just tells you what's happening, but it doesn't suggest much to you. It's not whispering. That word's not whispering a whole lot to me. It's not giving me much detail. But a character in a book or somebody being written about in a newspaper or in an article could approach drinking the water in a different way. Maybe they're sipping the water, or maybe they're gulping the water, or any other word to describe drinking. So let's look at these two words in detail and use the two window analogy to help you to start becoming a word whisperer. Here we go. Okay. Just to be sure, the word gulp is the guy at the top left. Okay, the guy with the water bottle, big watch on his wrist, black t-shirt. He's gulping his drink. So gulping is this idea, look, as fast as you can. Down below, the guy on the right, the guy with the glasses, he's just sipping his smoothie through a straw. So these pictures here just to help you kind of understand, make sure we know the meaning of gulp and sips. So let's start with sip. Okay, so sip is this guy on the right with the glasses and the smoothie. If you look at, we're going to look through the first window, the left-hand window, the simple meaning window to begin with. So what does the word sip mean? Okay, it simply means to drink a little at a time. And there's the extra information, a little at a time. So what does that suggest to you about anyone, about that guy in the picture or anyone who's sipping their drink? Have a think about this. Pause the video if you like for a moment. I'll give you a hint before you pause. It could be to do with the speed that the drink is being consumed at. Okay. Now, I'd like you to pause the video, give yourself 10 seconds and write down 2 or 3 things that sipping suggests. What's the word whispering to you? Okay, let's have a look. Sipping suggests a few things. That care is being taken. So if you're sipping a drink, perhaps you're wearing nice clothes. Maybe you're going to be going to an interview a few minutes later. It's been drank slowly. There's no rush involved at all. There's also very little risk of spilling or choking or coughing or anything like that when you sip a drink. So that's what's been whispered to us about the person, that when they sip their drink, they're being careful, they're not rushing, and they're not taking any risk of spilling or choking. So that was the guy in the bottom right. The word sipping was whispering that extra information to us. Let's go to the guy in the top left, the guy with the black t-shirt and the big water bottle. He's gulping his drink. Perhaps he's just had a long exercise session, or he's been out jogging and he's super thirsty, and he's just putting the bottle to his mouth now, and he's about to down half of it because he's so thirsty. So let's look at that word gulp. Okay, our simple meaning. So start with our left hand window as always. Check. Do I understand it? Do I understand what the word gulp means? And a simple definition, a simple meaning for that is to drink eagerly in large drafts. Drafts is just another word for swallows. So drinking eagerly, really wanting to drink, and big swallows, large drafts. What does that suggest to you now about the person? Bearing in mind what we did about the sip, I want you to move to the second window now, the whispers and suggestions. What is that word gulp whispering to us? What is it suggesting to us about the character? Why are they gulping their drink? Again, pause the video for a few seconds while you have a think about it. If you've got time, grab a scrap of paper, jot down 2 or 3 ideas. Okay, let's have a look. Now, here are the suggestions, the whispers from the word gulp. When you're gulping, you're not really taking any care at all. And that means you're going quickly as well, and it's rather rushed. And that involves a high risk of spillage, of choking, of coughing, all of these things. So there's extra suggestions around both the words sip and gulp. That's why you have to be careful, not just in close reading at looking at the words, but in your own writing. If you're writing about a character who takes a drink, pause for a minute and say, is there a better word? Is there another word that I can use that whispers a little bit more information at the reader? In the National 5 Close Reading Assessment, you are the reader, so you're listening out for the whispers. You're trying to hear those extra meanings. Let's look at 3 sentences, okay? So we're changing away from the guys in the pictures. Let's talk about an athlete. Maybe she's a sprinter or a marathon runner, and any of those kind of disciplines. We could see in a sentence that the athlete drank her water. That gives us factual information. Okay, we could see that she's consumed her water, but it doesn't whisper much at us at all, if anything. However, the next 2 sentences do. The athlete sipped her water. Now all of a sudden, I'm thinking, maybe she's quite calm. Is this before the race? Or if it's after the race, maybe the race was quite easy because she only needed a little bit of water afterwards. Maybe she's taking great care. She doesn't want to spill it all over herself. Maybe she's a world-class athlete and she's on television in the Olympics and she doesn't want to spill it down the front of her clothes and look silly on television. Or let's swap down now to the bottom sentence, gulped. Let's take that same athlete. She's gulping her water. What's been whispered to us here? The suggestion here is that she's super thirsty, that she's no longer worried about spilling it anywhere. Her priority is to get that water into her system. So maybe that's at the end of a race that was particularly hard or long, like a marathon or a 10,000 meter distance race. Much more risk involved there of her coughing or choking, but she doesn't care because she needs to get that water into her system. So you can see here that the choice of words, the word choice, adds extra layers, extra meanings, and we need to listen out for what those words are whispering at us. Now, this won't come overnight, but with practice, this can become quite easy. The trick is to do it in other spaces, not just here when you're watching these videos, not just in your English classroom. Have a listen when your friends are talking. What words do they use? Is there an extra meaning, a hidden meaning? Have a listen when people in your family are talking, when teachers are talking, in the books that you're reading, in the newspaper articles, on social media. Are there extra hidden levels? Make sure that you're always approaching words now with these 2 windows. Your first stop is the window on the left. Do I know what the word means? And if I don't, no worries, grab a dictionary, check the meaning, or ask someone. There's no problem at all. There's loads of words in the world that I still don't know the meaning of and may never know the meaning of, but I always just use a dictionary if I'm not sure. But the next step, and the step I want you to use from now on, is the second window, the window on the right. Listen out for the whispers, listen out for the suggestions, and do it as often as you can. Try and do for 1 or 2 words every single day. Try and see what the suggestions are. These are the connotations, the concealed ideas that are behind the words, because that's what you're going to have to show knowledge of in the National 5 assessment, and you're going to have to demonstrate that you have the skill of writing down the answer correctly. So in the next video, we're going to look at more detailed examples. We're going to get closer to the type of questions that you get in the assessment. For now, I just want you to understand the idea, the logic behind word choice. It's all about extra hidden meanings and suggestions. All right, see you in the next video.